The massive starship Apex Predator sliced through Earth's atmosphere, its sleek obsidian hull reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. Inside the ship's command center, Captain Zixnar of the Galactic Hunters Guild stood tall, his forearms crossed over his chest as he gazed at the rapidly approaching landmass on the viewscreen. "Earth," he rumbled, his voice a mixture of anticipation and disdain. "A backwater planet on the fringes of civilized space. Who would have thought it would become our next hunting ground?" First Officer Vela, her iridescent scales shimmering under the harsh light of the command center, approached her captain. "The High Council's orders were clear, sir. We are to assess the planet's wildlife and collect specimens for the Galactic Zoo. They believe Earth's isolation may have produced some interesting evolutionary quirks." Zixnar snorted, a sound that resembled grinding stones. "Interesting. Vela, we've hunted the six-headed hydra beasts of Zeta Reticuli. We've captured the phase-shifting spectral tigers of Andromeda. What could this primitive mudball possibly offer that would challenge the greatest hunters in the galaxy?" Vela's facial tentacles twitched in what might have been amusement. "Perhaps nothing, Captain, but orders are orders." As the apex predator descended towards a clearing in a vast forest, the ship's sensors began to ping wildly. Cal Thor, the young and eager science officer, hunched over his console, his compound eyes widening with excitement. "Captain, I'm detecting an extraordinary biodiversity in this region alone. Thousands of species, many of which seem to be apex predators in their own right." Zixnar's interest was piqued, if only slightly. "Show me," he commanded. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the command center, showcasing a rotating gallery of Earth's most fearsome predators. Lions with majestic manes, tigers stalking through dense jungles, bears rearing up on massive hind legs, and sleek killer whales slicing through ocean waves. The captain studied each image with a critical eye, his initial excitement fading quickly. Is this the best this planet has to offer? They're so small. Cal Thor's antennae drooped slightly. "Well, yes, compared to some of the creatures we've encountered. But Captain, size isn't everything. These animals have evolved to be perfect predators in their environments. They're fast, strong, and incredibly adaptable." Zixnar waved a dismissive hand. "Adaptable to what? Primitive projectile weapons. We possess technology that can immobilize creatures 10 times their size in the blink of an eye. This will be nothing more than a glorified safari." As the ship touched down in the clearing, the forest around them fell silent, as if holding its breath in anticipation of the alien arrival. The loading ramp descended with a hiss of hydraulics, and Zixnar stepped out into the crisp mountain air, inhaling deeply. "Assemble the hunting parties," he ordered. "We'll split up to cover more ground. I want at least a dozen specimens captured by nightfall. And remember, the High Council wants them alive." The hunters fanned out across the landscape, their advanced camouflage suits allowing them to blend seamlessly into the environment. They moved with practiced precision, each step calculated, each movement fluid and purposeful. Zixnar led his team deeper into the forest, his sensor array scanning for signs of large predators. It wasn't long before they encountered their first target, a massive grizzly bear foraging for berries in a small clearing. "Watch and learn," Zixnar said to his team, a note of smugness in his voice. He raised his capture rifle, took aim, and fired. A shimmering energy net burst from the weapon, enveloping the bear before it could even react. The massive creature thrashed and roared, but the net constricted, immobilizing it within seconds. "See, hardly a challenge," Zixnar boasted. "Load it up, and let's move on." As the day progressed, the hunting parties reported similar successes. Lions, tigers, wolves, and even a pod of orcas were captured with ease. The aliens' technology proved overwhelmingly superior to the instincts and physical abilities of Earth's top predators. By the time the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the landscape, the hunters had amassed an impressive collection of Earth's most fearsome creatures. They gathered back at the ship, swapping stories of their easy victories and laughing at the primitive defenses of the planet's wildlife. Zixnar stood before his crew, basking in their success. "Well done, everyone. We've proven once again why we're the most feared hunters in the galaxy. These Earth creatures may be apex predators on their world, but they're nothing compared to us." As the captured animals were loaded into stasis chambers aboard the ship, Vela approached her captain with a datapad. "Sir, I've been analyzing the data from our hunt. While it's true we captured these animals with relative ease, I can't help but feel we're missing something." Zixnar's eyes narrowed. "Missing something? We accomplished our mission in record time. What more could there be?" Vela's facial tentacles writhed thoughtfully. "It's just, the ecosystem here is so complex, so interconnected. These large predators we've captured, they're just the tip of the iceberg. There are countless smaller species that have evolved alongside them, each with their own unique adaptations and survival strategies." The captain scoffed. "Are you suggesting we should be impressed by Earth's rodents and insects? Come now, Vela. We're here for the big game, not to study every insignificant creature that scurries across our path." "With all due respect, sir," Vela persisted, "I believe we'd be remiss if we didn't at least investigate some of these smaller species. The High Council did task us with assessing all of Earth's wildlife, not just the largest and most obvious predators." Zixnar considered her words for a moment, then sighed. "Very well. We'll spend one more day here. You can lead a team to study some of these smaller creatures you find so intriguing. But I expect results, Vela, something to justify the extra time and resources." Vela's eyes lit up with excitement. "Thank you, Captain. I promise you won't be disappointed." As night fell over the forest, the alien hunters retired to their ship, confident in their superiority and dismissive of any potential challenges Earth might still hold. Little did they know that deep in the wilderness, far from their advanced sensors and powerful weapons, a small but formidable creature was stirring. In the dense underbrush, a pair of beady eyes gleamed in the moonlight. The Wolverine, a compact bundle of muscle and unbreakable will, emerged from its den. It sniffed the air, catching the unfamiliar scent of the alien intruders. The Wolverine had no way of knowing the true nature of these new arrivals or the advanced technology they wielded. All it knew was that its territory had been invaded, and it would defend its home with every ounce of its legendary tenacity. As the apex predator's lights dimmed for the night cycle, the Wolverine slipped silently through the shadows, drawn by curiosity and an instinctual wariness of the strange new presence in its forest. The alien hunters, so confident in their dominance, slept peacefully, unaware that they were about to encounter a creature that would challenge everything they thought they knew about Earth's wildlife. The stage was set for a confrontation that would prove that sometimes the most formidable opponents come in the smallest packages. The hunters from the stars were about to learn a humbling lesson about underestimating the creatures of Earth, and the Wolverine would be their unwitting teacher. First encounters. As dawn broke over the forest, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, the alien hunters emerged from their ship, ready for another day of what they expected to be easy conquests. Vela led her small team of researchers, their equipment far more oriented towards observation and data collection than capture. "Remember," Vela instructed her team, "we're looking for the smaller, less obvious predators. The creatures that might be overlooked but play crucial roles in this ecosystem." Zixnar watched them depart with a mixture of amusement and skepticism. "Don't forget to catalog the earthworms while you're at it," he called after them, eliciting chuckles from the other hunters. The captain turned to his own team. "As for us, we'll continue with our primary mission. There are reports of large predatory cats in the mountains to the north. Let's see if these cougars offer any more sport than yesterday's quarry." As the two teams set off in different directions, neither was aware of the small, muscular creature watching them from the underbrush. The Wolverine had spent the night circling the alien ship, its keen senses taking in every unfamiliar smell and sound. Now, As the strange two-legged creatures dispersed into its territory, the Wolverine felt an instinctual urge to follow. Vela's team pushed deeper into the forest, their sensors picking up a dizzying array of life signs. They paused to observe a colony of ants working in perfect synchronization to strip a fallen log of its bark. "Fascinating," murmured Lear, the team's biologist. "These tiny creatures display a level of cooperation and efficiency that rivals some of the most advanced hive minds we've encountered." Vela nodded, her facial tentacles curling with interest. "And look there," she pointed to a nearby tree where a spider was spinning its web. "The structural integrity of that silk is remarkable. I wonder if it could have applications in our own technology." As they continued their observations, the team began to realize that Earth's smaller creatures, far from being insignificant, were marvels of evolutionary engineering. They encountered venomous snakes with heat-sensing pits, chameleons that could change color at will, and birds that used tools to extract insects from tree bark. Meanwhile, Zixnar's hunting party was having a far less enlightening experience. They had tracked a mountain lion to its den, and the capture had been embarrassingly easy. The big cat, for all its speed and power, was no match for their energy nets and stun beams. "This is becoming tedious," Zixnar grumbled as they loaded the unconscious cougar into a stasis pod. "Where's the challenge? The thrill of the hunt?" His complaints were interrupted by a startled cry from one of his team members. They all turned to see Grax, the team's tracker, hopping on one foot, cursing in their native tongue. "What happened?" Zixnar demanded. Grax pointed to a small round creature curled into a tight ball at his feet. "That thing stung me. It was just lying there. And when I stepped near it, it shot these quills into my foot." The captain bent down to examine the creature, which was slowly uncurling to reveal a long snout and beady eyes. "A porcupine," he said, recalling the briefing on Earth's wildlife. "Hardly a predator, but clearly not defenseless." As Grax received treatment for the quills embedded in his foot, Zixnar couldn't help but feel a twinge of respect for the small, unassuming creature that had managed to injure one of his elite hunters. Back in the forest, Vela's team was wrapping up their observations when they heard a commotion nearby. They rushed towards the sound, only to find a group of their fellow hunters in a state of chaos. The scene before them was almost comical. 3 of the galaxy's most renowned hunters were dancing around, swatting at the air and yelping in pain. Swarming around them was a cloud of tiny, buzzing insects. "Bees," one of the hunters cried out. "We disturbed their hive, and now they won't stop attacking." Vela watched in amazement as the tiny insects, each no bigger than the tip of her smallest finger, managed to drive back beings many thousands of times their size. The hunters' advanced suits, designed to withstand the claws and teeth of the galaxy's largest predators, offered little protection against the bees' persistent stingers. As the day wore on, similar reports came in from other hunting parties. One team had encountered a skunk and was now dealing with the lingering effects of its potent spray. Another had disturbed a nest of fire ants and was nursing hundreds of painful bites. Even the aquatic team wasn't immune, with one unlucky hunter discovering the shocking power of an electric eel. By the time the sun began to set, the mood among the alien hunters had shifted dramatically. The easy confidence of the morning had given way to a wary respect for the diverse and often surprising defenses of Earth's creatures. Zixnar called a meeting of all team leaders back at the ship. "Report," he ordered, his voice gruff with frustration. One by one, the leaders recounted their experiences. Tales of seemingly easy hunts turned chaotic by unexpected encounters with smaller, often overlooked species. Vela listened with growing excitement, her earlier suspicions confirmed. When it was her turn to speak, Vela could barely contain her enthusiasm. "Captain, what we've witnessed today is extraordinary. The biodiversity on this planet, the complex interplay between species, the ingenious adaptations, it's unlike anything we've encountered before." Zixnar frowned, his pride stinging from the day's setbacks. Are you suggesting that these tiny pests are more worthy adversaries than the apex predators we came here to hunt? Not more worthy, perhaps, Vela replied carefully, but certainly not to be underestimated. The large predators may be at the top of the food chain, but it's these smaller creatures that truly shape the ecosystem. They've evolved remarkable strategies for survival, often outsmarting or outmaneuvering much larger opponents. The captain was silent for a long moment, digesting this information. Finally, he spoke, his voice tinged with reluctant admiration. It seems we may have been hasty in our assessment of this planet's wildlife. Tomorrow, we'll adjust our approach. I want all teams to exercise more caution and to document all encounters, no matter how small the creature may seem. As the meeting dispersed and the hunters retired for the night, none of them noticed the small, muscular form of the Wolverine slipping through the shadows near their ship. It had followed Zixnar's team back from the mountains, drawn by curiosity and an instinctual wariness of these strange new intruders in its territory. The Wolverine circled the ship, its keen nose taking in the unfamiliar scents. It sensed the presence of the captured animals inside, their fear and confusion palpable even through the ship's hull. Something stirred within the Wolverine, a primal urge to defend its fellow creatures, to drive these interlopers from its home. As the lights dimmed on the apex predator, the Wolverine retreated to the forest's edge. It would wait and watch, and when the moment was right, it would show these alien hunters why Earth's creatures, no matter their size, were not to be trifled with. Little did the Galactic hunters know, their greatest challenge on Earth was yet to come. The Wolverine, a creature they had completely overlooked, was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. The Wolverine. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the alien hunters stirred within their ship, preparing for another day of exploration and capture on this increasingly perplexing planet. The events of the previous day had left them more cautious, more respectful of the unexpected challenges Earth's wildlife could present. Zixnar stood at the ship's entrance, surveying the misty forest before him. "Today we adapt," he announced to his assembled team. "No creature is to be underestimated, no matter its size. Observe first, capture second. Is that understood?" A chorus of affirmatives rang out, tinged with a newfound humility that would have been unthinkable just days ago. As the hunting parties dispersed into the wilderness, none of them noticed the pair of small, fierce eyes watching from the underbrush. The Wolverine had spent the night patrolling the perimeter of the alien ship, its powerful sense of smell taking in the fear and distress of the captured animals within. Now, as the strange two-legged creatures ventured out once more, the Wolverine felt an primal urge stirring within its chest, a call to action. Vela led her research team deeper into the forest, their instruments quietly humming as they collected data on the myriad lifeforms surrounding them. "Look there," she said, pointing to a fallen log teeming with industrious insects. "Even in decay, life flourishes. The interconnectedness of this ecosystem is truly remarkable." As they marveled at the intricate web of life before them, a sudden commotion erupted from nearby. Shouts of surprise and alarm echoed through the trees, followed by the unmistakable sound of energy weapons discharging. Vela and her team rushed towards the source of the disturbance, pushing through dense foliage until they emerged into a small clearing. The scene that greeted them was one of chaos. 3 of their fellow hunters were scrambling about, their usually coordinated movements now frantic and disorganized. At the center of the mayhem was a creature unlike any they had encountered so far. Small, but powerfully built, with thick fur and razor-sharp claws. "What is that thing?" one of the hunters cried out, nursing a bleeding arm where the creature's teeth had found purchase. Vela consulted her datapad, her eyes widening in recognition. "It's a Wolverine," she breathed, a note of awe in her voice. Gulo Gulo, known for its incredible strength, ferocity, and tenacity. The Wolverine seemed to be everywhere at once, a whirlwind of fur and fury. It darted between the hunters' legs, climbed up their backs, and lashed out with teeth and claws before they could react. Their energy nets, so effective against larger prey, prove useless against this small, lightning-fast opponent. "Immobilize it," shouted the lead hunter, raising his stun rifle. But before he could take aim, the Wolverine was upon him, knocking the weapon from his hands and sending him sprawling to the forest floor. Vila watched in amazement as the tiny creature held its own against opponents many times its size. The Wolverine's strategy was unlike anything they had seen before. It didn't rely on brute strength or size, but on speed, agility, and an unwavering determination. "Fall back," the lead hunter finally called out, clutching a wound on his leg. "Regroup and reassess." As the battered hunting party retreated, the Wolverine stood its ground, teeth bared and hackles raised. It let out a fierce growl, a sound that seemed impossibly loud for its small frame, as if daring the aliens to try again. Vila approached cautiously, her hands raised in a gesture of peace. The Wolverine's eyes locked onto her, filled with an intelligence and ferocity that took her breath away. For a moment, they regarded each other, two species from worlds apart, meeting in a moment of mutual curiosity and respect. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the Wolverine darted back into the underbrush, vanishing like a ghost into the forest. Vila turned to the retreating hunters, her facial tentacles twitching with barely contained excitement. "Do you realize what we just witnessed? That creature, barely larger than some of our capture devices, just bested 3 of our most skilled hunters." The lead hunter scowled, his pride clearly wounded. "It caught us off guard, that's all. Next time." "Next time," Vela interrupted. "We need to approach this differently. We're not dealing with mindless beasts here. These animals, especially this Wolverine, have demonstrated problem-solving skills and adaptability that rival our own." Back at the ship, Zixnar listened to the reports of the Wolverine encounter with growing interest. "Show me," he demanded, and soon a holographic image of the creature flickered to life in the command center. "This?" he said incredulously, staring at the small, unassuming form of the Wolverine. "This is the creature that bested 3 of our hunters." Vela nodded enthusiastically. "Don't let its size fool you, Captain. The Wolverine is a marvel of evolution. Its jaws can crush bones, its fur is nearly impervious to frost, and its strength and stamina are legendary among Earth's wildlife researchers." Zixnar studied the image, a newfound respect glimmering in his eyes. "It seems we finally found a worthy challenge on this planet. Prepare a special team. I want this Wolverine captured, alive and unharmed if possible. I have a feeling the High Council will be very interested in this particular specimen." As preparations for the Wolverine hunt began, a palpable excitement spread through the alien crew. Here, at last, was a quarry that promised to test their skills to the utmost. Little did they know, the Wolverine was far from finished with them. Throughout the day, reports trickled in of the creature's exploits. It seemed to be shadowing the hunting parties, striking swiftly and vanishing before they could retaliate. Traps were sprung without capturing anything, equipment was found damaged or destroyed, and more than one hunter returned to the ship nursing wounds from teeth and claws. As night fell, Zixnar called a meeting of all team leaders. "This Wolverine has made fools of us for the last time," he growled, his earlier respect now tinged with frustration. "Tomorrow, we bring all our resources to bear. I want that creature in our possession before the sun sets, no matter the cost." Vela listened to the captain's words with growing unease. She had seen the intelligence in the Wolverine's eyes, had witnessed its incredible adaptability and resourcefulness. Something told her that this hunt would not go as smoothly as Zixnar imagined. In the forests surrounding the alien ship, the Wolverine continued its tireless patrol. It had scented the fear of the captured animals, had seen the strange devices these invaders used to subdue Earth's mightiest predators. In its own way, the Wolverine had declared war on the alien hunters. It would not rest until these intruders were driven from its territory, until the balance of the forest was restored. As the lights dimmed aboard the apex predator, Neither the alien hunters nor their small but formidable adversary could have predicted the events that would unfold in the coming day. The stage was set for a confrontation that would challenge everything the galactic hunters thought they knew about predator and prey, about strength and intelligence, about the true nature of Earth's wildlife. The Wolverine, a creature they had initially overlooked, was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. In the quiet of the night, as the forest held its breath in anticipation, one thing became clear: the greatest hunt of the aliens' careers had only just begun. The hunt intensifies. The next morning dawned with a tense atmosphere hanging over the alien camp. Zixnar had assembled his most elite hunting team, equipped with their most advanced technology. The capture of the Wolverine had become more than just a mission. It was now a matter of pride. "Remember," Zixnar addressed his team, his voice steely with determination, "this creature may be small, but it has proven to be cunning and fierce. We underestimated it once. We will not make that mistake again." As the hunting party ventured into the forest, Vela watched from the ship's command center, a sense of unease gnawing at her. She had argued for a more cautious approach, but Zixnar's pride had won out. Now she could only monitor the situation and hope for the best. The hunters moved through the forest with practiced stealth, their advanced sensors sweeping the area for any sign of their elusive quarry. They had barely penetrated the tree line when the first trap was sprung. A net of energy, designed to capture creatures many times the size of a wolverine, suddenly erupted from the underbrush. Two hunters found themselves entangled, their own technology turned against them. "How is this possible?" One of them sputtered, struggling against the crackling energy bonds. Zixnar's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the scene. "It's learned from us," he muttered, a mix of frustration and grudging respect in his voice. "It's using our own tactics against us." As they worked to free their comrades, a blur of motion caught Zixnar's eye. The Wolverine darted between the trees, its small size belying its incredible speed and agility. Without hesitation, Zixnar gave chase, his long strides eating up the ground. But the Wolverine was always one step ahead, leading the alien captain deeper into the forest. It ducked under fallen logs, squeezed through narrow gaps between rocks, and used every aspect of its environment to its advantage. Zixnar found himself struggling to keep up, his large frame ill-suited to the dense undergrowth. Branches whipped at his face, roots threatened to trip him at every step. For the first time in his long career as a hunter, he felt out of his element. Meanwhile, back at the ship, Vela watched the unfolding chase with growing concern. The Wolverine was leading the hunting party further and further from their base, into terrain that grew increasingly treacherous. "Captain," she called over the comlink, "I strongly advise caution. You're entering an area with unstable ground and numerous underground caverns. Our sensors are having trouble penetrating." Her warning was cut short by a startled cry from Zixnar. The ground beneath his feet had suddenly given way, sending him tumbling into a hidden sinkhole. As he fell, he caught a glimpse of the Wolverine watching from the edge, its eyes seeming to gleam with an almost mischievous intelligence. Zixnar landed hard, the breath knocked from his lungs. As he struggled to his feet, he found himself in a dimly lit cavern, the only light filtering down from the hole above. His comlink crackled with static. The dense rock was interfering with the signal. "Zixnar, Captain, can you hear me?" Vela's voice came through in broken fragments. "I'm here," he managed to respond, wincing at the pain in his side. The Wolverine, it led us into a trap. As the rest of the hunting party scrambled to locate their fallen leader, the Wolverine was far from finished. It darted between the confused aliens, nipping at their heels, leading more of them astray. The hunters' formation broke down as they split up, each trying to corner the agile creature. Back in the cavern, Zixnar was beginning to realize the true nature of his predicament. The Wolverine hadn't just evaded capture. It had systematically dismantled their entire hunting strategy. It had separated him from his team, cut off his communications, and left him in unfamiliar and dangerous territory. As he searched for a way out of the cavern, Zixnar's mind raced. How could this small Earth creature have outmaneuvered them so thoroughly? They had hunted beings with far greater physical capabilities, with advanced intelligence, even with psychic powers. Yet none had challenged them quite like this unassuming mustelid. Above ground, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The remaining hunters, without their leader's guidance, were falling into disarray. The Wolverine seemed to be everywhere at once, always just out of reach, leading them deeper into the forest and further from safety. Vila, watching helplessly from the ship, made a decision. "This has gone too far," she muttered, strapping on a field kit. "I'm going out there." As she made her way into the forest, Vela's scientific mind was working overtime. The Wolverine's behavior was fascinating. It wasn't just reacting to the hunters, it was anticipating their moves, using strategy and problem-solving skills that went far beyond simple animal instinct. She found the first group of hunters regrouping near the sinkhole where Zixnar had fallen. "Status report," she demanded. "It's a disaster," one of the hunters admitted, his usual bravado completely gone. That thing has us running in circles. We can't pin it down, can't predict its movements." And now the captain. Vela nodded grimly. "We need to change our approach. This isn't working." Just then, a familiar growl echoed through the trees. The Wolverine appeared on a nearby rock, watching them with what Vela could have sworn was a calculating gaze. For a moment, predator and prey locked eyes. In that instant, Vela understood. "Stop," she shouted as the hunters raised their weapons. "Can't you see? It's not running away. It's not attacking. It's communicating." The hunters looked at her as if she'd lost her mind, but Vela stood her ground. Slowly, carefully, she took a step towards the Wolverine, her hands open and empty. "We've been going about this all wrong," she said, her voice low and calm. "We came here thinking we were the apex predators, that nothing on this planet could challenge us. But this creature, it's shown us the error of our ways." The Wolverine tilted its head, as if listening. It made no move to flee or attack. "I think I understand now," Vela continued, addressing both the Wolverine and her fellow aliens. "It's not just about physical strength or advanced technology. This planet, this ecosystem, it's all interconnected. Every creature, no matter how small, has its place, its purpose." As she spoke, the Wolverine began to relax its defensive posture. The hunters, too, lowered their weapons, caught up in the strange tableau. "We came here to capture, to dominate," Vela said. "But maybe we should be here to learn instead." Just then, a rumble from beneath their feet interrupted the moment. The ground near the sinkhole began to crumble, threatening to collapse further. Without hesitation, the Wolverine darted forward, scratching at the ground near the edge of the hole. "It's showing us something," Vela realized. "Quick, dig here." The hunters, still somewhat bewildered by the turn of events, nonetheless sprang into action. As they cleared away the debris, they uncovered the entrance to a small tunnel, a way into the cavern where Zixnar was trapped. With the Wolverine's unexpected help, they were able to extract their captain, battered and humbled but otherwise unharmed. As Zixnar emerged from the earth, he found himself face to face with the creature that had led him on this wild chase. For a long moment, alien and Earth predator regarded each other. Then, to everyone's amazement, the Wolverine simply turned and loped away into the forest, its task seemingly complete. As they made their way back to the ship, a subdued silence fell over the hunting party. The events of the day had shaken them to their core, forcing them to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about predator and prey, about intelligence and adaptability. Zixnar, limping slightly but with a newfound light in his eyes, turned to Vela. "I think," he said slowly, "that we may need to reconsider the purpose of our mission here." Vela nodded, her facial tentacles curling with excitement at the possibilities. "Indeed, Captain. I believe we have much to learn from this planet and its inhabitants." As the sun set on another day on Earth, the alien hunters returned to their ship not with cages full of captured creatures, but with minds full of new ideas and perspectives. The Wolverine, watching from the safety of the forest, had taught them a lesson they would never forget, that true strength comes in many forms, and that even the smallest creatures can have the biggest impact. The hunt was over, but a new journey of discovery was just beginning. Humbling revelations. The following days aboard the apex predator were marked by a dramatic shift in atmosphere. Gone was the arrogant bravado that had characterized the early days of their mission. In its place was a quiet thoughtfulness, a newfound respect for the planet they had so carelessly dismissed. Zixnar stood at the command center, his gaze fixed on the holographic display of Earth's diverse ecosystems. The Wolverine encounter had shaken him to his core, forcing him to confront uncomfortable truths about their approach to this mission and their understanding of life in the galaxy. "Vila," he called, his voice lacking its usual authoritative edge. "I believe it's time we had a serious discussion about the future of our mission here." Vila approached, her facial tentacles twitching with barely contained excitement. She had been waiting for this moment, hoping that the recent events had opened her captain's eyes to the true wonders of this planet. "Yes, Captain," she inquired, trying to keep her tone neutral. Zixnar turned to face her, his expression uncharacteristically humble. "I've been reflecting on our experiences here, on the arrogance we brought with us to this world. I believe we owe you an apology, Vela. Your cautionary words, your insistence on the importance of Earth's smaller life forms, we should have heeded them from the start." Vela's eyes widened in surprise. It was rare for Zixnar to admit fault, rarer still for him to apologize. "Thank you, Captain," she said softly. "But it's not me you owe an apology to. It's this planet and its inhabitants." Zixnar nodded gravely. "Indeed, and that brings me to the matter at hand. I propose a complete overhaul of our mission parameters. No more capturing, no more attempts to assert dominance over this world's creatures. Instead, we will dedicate ourselves to observation, study, and learning." A ripple of murmurs spread through the command center as the other crew members reacted to this surprising announcement. Vila, however, felt a surge of joy and validation. "I couldn't agree more, Captain," she said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "Where shall we begin?" Zixnar's gaze returned to the holographic display. "With the one who taught us this valuable lesson, the Wolverine." Over the next few weeks, the alien explorers immersed themselves in a comprehensive study of Earth's ecosystems, with a particular focus on the Wolverine and its habitat. They observed from a distance, using their advanced technology not to capture or subdue, but to record and analyze. What they discovered left them in awe. The Wolverine, they learned, was far more than just a fierce fighter. It was a keystone species, playing a crucial role in its ecosystem. Its habits of caching food and scavenging carcasses helped distribute nutrients across the landscape. Its robust physique and incredible stamina allowed it to traverse vast territories, aiding in seed dispersal and connecting disparate habitats. But it wasn't just the Wolverine that impressed them. As they expanded their studies, they found marvels everywhere they looked. They witnessed the intricate dance of pollination between flowers and insects, the complex social structures of ant colonies, the remarkable adaptability of plants in harsh environments. Zixnar found himself particularly fascinated by the concept of symbiosis, the mutually beneficial relationships between different species. It was so different from the competitive, dominance-based worldview he had always held. "It's all connected," he mused one day, as they watched a cluster of clownfish darting in and out of an anemone. "Every creature, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, has its place in the grand tapestry of life." Vela nodded, her heart swelling with pride at how far her captain had come. "That's the beauty of it, sir. Earth's biodiversity isn't just about the number of species. It's about the countless interactions between them, the delicate balance that has evolved over millions of years." As their mission of discovery continued, the aliens found themselves changing in ways they hadn't anticipated. The rigid hierarchy that had defined their crew structure began to soften, inspired by the cooperative behaviors they observed in nature. They started to value different perspectives, to see strength in diversity rather than uniformity. Even their technology began to evolve. Inspired by the elegant solutions they saw in nature, the ship's engineers started developing new designs. Capture devices were repurposed into non-invasive observation tools. Weapons were modified into scientific instruments. One day, as they were reviewing their findings, a junior scientist named Klix approached Zixnar with an unusual request. "Captain," Klix said, nervousness evident in the rapid twitching of his antennae, "I have a proposal that you might find unconventional." Zixnar, who had become much more open to new ideas in recent weeks, gestured for Klix to continue. "Well, sir," Klix went on, gaining confidence, "we've learned so much from observing Earth's creatures, but I can't help but wonder, what if we could learn even more by attempting to communicate with them?" A hush fell over the room. In the past, such a suggestion would have been met with ridicule or outright dismissal. The idea of trying to communicate with non-spacefaring species was virtually unheard of in their culture. But Zixnar surprised everyone, including himself, with his response. "An intriguing idea, Klix. How do you propose we go about it?" And so began the most ambitious phase of their mission yet. Drawing on their observations of how Earth's animals communicated, through sounds, scents, body language, and even electrical signals, they began developing interfaces that could potentially bridge the gap between their alien minds and Earth's creatures. It was Vela who made the first breakthrough, with none other than their old adversary, the Wolverine. Using a combination of scent markers and low-frequency sounds, she managed to establish a rudimentary form of communication with a local Wolverine population. The day she first received a response, a series of grunts and body postures that their systems interpreted as a greeting, was a day of celebration aboard the apex predator. For the first time, they weren't just observing life on Earth. They were engaging with it, becoming a part of it. As their ability to communicate improved, so did their understanding. They learned of migrations following ancient paths, of territories defined not by greed but by need, of the delicate dance between predator and prey that kept ecosystems in balance. The Wolverines, in their own way, told stories of resilience, of survival in harsh conditions, of a fierce love for their young and their home. These revelations had a profound impact on the alien explorers. They began to see their own place in the universe differently. No longer did they view themselves as the pinnacle of evolution, destined to dominate lesser species. Instead, they saw themselves as just one thread in the vast, interconnected web of cosmic life. As their mission on Earth neared its end, Zixnar called the crew together for one final meeting. "We came to this planet as conquerors," he began, his voice solemn. "We thought our advanced technology and our experience in subjugating other worlds made us superior, but Earth and its inhabitants have taught us a profound lesson in humility." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the assembled crew. "We have learned that true strength lies not in domination, but in adaptation. Not in isolation, but in cooperation. The diversity we've witnessed here, the intricate balance of life, is something to be cherished and protected, not exploited." Vela stepped forward, continuing where Zixnar left off. "Our mission here may be ending, but our journey is just beginning. We return to our homeworld not with cages full of captured specimens, but with minds full of new ideas, new perspectives. It is our duty now to share what we've learned, to challenge our society's assumptions about our place in the universe." As the apex predator prepared for departure, there was one last task to complete. In a clearing near where they had first encountered the Wolverine, they left behind a small, unobtrusive monument. It was a testament to their time on Earth, a thank you to the planet and its inhabitants for the lessons they had learned. The monument bore an inscription in both their language and a variety of Earth languages. "Here we learned that every creature, no matter how small, has value. That true strength lies in diversity and cooperation. That in the great web of life, we are all connected. Thank you, Earth, for teaching us humility and wonder. As the ship rose into the sky, its hull shimmering as it engaged its cloaking device, a small muscular form emerged from the forest. The Wolverine approached the monument, sniffing it curiously. For a moment, it stood on its hind legs, as if watching the departing ship. Then, with a final grunt, it turned and loped back into the forest, disappearing into the wilderness that was its home. The Earth continued to spin, its myriad life forms going about their lives, unaware of how close they had come to being mere specimens in an alien zoo, and how they had instead become teachers to beings from beyond the stars. And high above, as the apex predator set course for home, its crew looked back at the blue-green planet with newfound respect and wonder. They had come seeking to conquer, but instead, they had been conquered, not by force, but by the humbling majesty of life in all its diverse forms. Their greatest hunt had become their greatest lesson, and the galaxy would never be the same.